monarch military mind control programming, corruption of the Catholic Church and its satanic abuse of tens of thousands of kids. The real reason violent graphic video games are being marketed towards children. How Luciferianism is being promoted in pop culture. Where elites go to find their next victim. Believe it or not, the public schools. Why school shootings are on the rise, who's behind them, and why. If you think you've heard it all, trust me, you haven't. You will never look at the world the same way again after listening to part 2 of our MKUltra Mind Control series with our warrior woman, Elise Tolman. I'm Tina Griffin, and this is the Counterculture Mom Show. And all of us, in one way or another, is currently under MKUltra Mind Control. Kay, thanks for sticking with us and coming on back.
Oh, it's so good to be with you, Tina. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Kay, we barely scratched the surface. And I want to remind everyone, if they didn't see part 1 right now, please go to part 1. It sets the foundation for the bomb that Kay's going to drop in part 2. You'll understand why we're asking these questions. Just watch part 1 first. Kay, you've been serving in ministry for 18 years. Your focus today is training and equipping ministries and providing educational resources for those healing from severe trauma and abuse. You have 2 children of your own, 2 grandchildren, and I promise everyone tuning in, we are going to get to the end of the healing aspect of how we can get people the relief they need from all the trauma they might have experienced as a result. So according to UK, a lot of people have absolutely been involved in some sort in this country with MKUltra mind control. If they are in public school today, or even a lot of Christian schools, go to church today, or if they watch pop culture, we've all been impacted. What do you have to say with that statement, Kay?
Well, I'd say that MKUltra has morphed into a number of different mind control programs, and it's become more sophisticated. So MKUltra was something I call trauma-based programming. Today, mind control programming may start with the trauma foundation, but it's primarily technology-based today. So it's video games. It's a lot of it is done through electronics.
Okay, so you're telling me in part 1, you addressed in San Francisco at an Army base there, how a lieutenant was training a lot of young kids to literally become assassins, and they would kill people. And told, it's not a person, don't worry about it if they even had any morals, because they're brainwashed since in the womb. But they were told, moving target, take it out, you're doing the right thing. That blows my mind right there alone. But now you're saying with these video games, you just took it to a deeper level for me. I've been warning people for 20 years, run from these graphic, violent video games. You're saying it's MKUltra brainwashing, mind control to train our kids how to kill.
Absolutely.
Go deeper on that.
Okay, so the mind doesn't really know the difference between what it's seeing in a video game and reality. So when people use a video game, they actually enter into the game. So in the mind believes that the person is in that scenario. So they create avatars, which can represent little personalities. They develop skill sets, they solve puzzles, all of those things are true for mind control. Another thing that they do, the video has lights. So when mind control is done, one of the things they use is bright lights. So the video game has sound, it has bright lights, it has bright colors. So it activates the centers in the brain to receive input and information. So let's say the video game is teaching someone to kill, it will desensitize the player to killing. So what's the difference between killing on this video game and stepping into a school with a rifle? The mind doesn't see the difference.
I just wrote, it's green screen, people, but trust me when I tell you, on this Post-it note right here, school shooters is what I just wrote down. Absolutely, Kay. You're giving me chills from head to toe. I've been researching school shooters for the last 20 years. And some people that I've even talked to that were a school shooter said they could not tell the difference from fantasy and reality. You're telling me that these evil globalists that want our young people to learn how to train and kill are now training them by the millions via violent video games.
Exactly. They don't have to send them all to boot camp anymore.
And
the kids are spending hours on these devices.
And they sent you several decades ago to this army base in San Francisco to train how to kill people. You were one of the kids manipulated along with thousands of others that you told us in part 1. And now you're saying they've gotten crafty through technology to do it now right in the underneath our roof in our home.
Absolutely. And there's witchcraft and there's demonic now inside these games. So these games became very occult, like Dungeons and Dragons. So all of that is desensitizing an entire generation of people to accept Luciferianism and occult ideas and to reject a Judeo-Christian God. So people are now very comfortable with killing. They see it every night on TV. They see it on their video game. So it's not much of a stretch to put an idea in someone's mind that they would carry out from that point. Another thing to note is people, when they get in these games, they get in a different brainwave state. Mind control is done in different brainwave states. So it's kind of like you can get hypnotized with all the lights and the sounds.
This is another 52 questions, because if you look at the music that's playing in the background, the words that are repeated over and over again, the sound that's coming out of these, the 3D imagery, it's not even sexual graphic images where you're performing oral sex. I'm just going to be real because these are parents and grandparents watching. Yes, that's what's in today's video games. Graphic, disgusting 3D images. And you wonder why our kids are dying of STDs today and getting pregnant at 10 years old. Because of these graphic violent video games. There's nothing good that comes out of it. The crazy thing is with these video games and training kids how to kill, you know, I get a lot of pushback over the years with people saying, especially gamers, I'm not going to go out there and shoot people. But every person that I've talked to, every study that I've researched, the same thing a school shooter from the past has said is that they never thought they would go out there and shoot people. They don't remember pulling the trigger. But they played graphic violent video games, watched, this is going back 20 years ago with some school shooters that I talked to, watched Natural Born Killers how many times. It's the information going in their brain that literally has them become desensitized and is training them how to do and carry out exactly what the globalists want. My question to you is this, Kay. Why does our corrupt, demonic government, these communists that are coming in here and ruling our globe right now, that are part of the new world order that's been around for decades, completely agree, why do they want to train our kids how to kill? How is that going to benefit them? I have my theory. I want to know what yours is.
Well, there's several things that are part of this. First of all, in order to fully take over, they need to take our guns. So their agenda is gun control, not just gun control. They want gun confiscation. So what do? They go to the one state that is very pro Second Amendment, which is Texas.
Yep.
And what better place to play on the sensibilities of the people to say, hey, we need gun control. So this is a plan of the Illuminati and the globalists for decades. They've been planning, how do we get the guns out of people's hands? So I believe that they are using these shootings very specifically, strategically, and the timing on this one, my goodness, the timing couldn't have been better for Biden. I remember back when Obama was in office, there was a shooting, and he should have gotten an Academy Award. He started crying. Oh, how many people have to die? Blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, who did you trigger? Who did your team mind control?
Yes.
And trigger and send in there?
Yep.
Because this is not a random shooter. This is not random. This is calculated.
We could talk about 50 different school shooting scenarios over the last 5 years alone, where I absolutely 110% agree with you. They're purposely doing it to confiscate our guns so we can't protect ourselves. You could put a sign up in any kind of stadium saying you can't bring guns in, and yet the perpetrator, the guy that's ready to pull the trigger and do a ton of damage, that's been trained to do so, they're not going to care less what sign is on that stadium door before walking in there. They're going to go to the place where they can do the most damage. Look at Vegas. Don't get me started on that.
In order to do mind control, it's helpful for people to have a strong emotion.
Yep.
And fear is very helpful. So with COVID, they used fear to do the programming. Well, fear with these shootings, they're going to manipulate the emotions with the fears. The other thing, there's a man named Russ Dizdar, and he's recently passed. He and his wife, I believe they were taken out. But he did a lot of research for a lot of years, helped a lot of SRA survivors. He wrote a book called Super Soldiers. And in that book, these individuals that have been programmed to be super soldiers, part of it is to create chaos. So if they can create enough fear, enough chaos, enough pandemonium, then they can sweep in with the answer, which is gun control and New World Order.
Crisis actors, talking about Hollywood here, they're out there. You see the same crisis actors when a shooting takes place. One dad's crying here, and 3 years later, he's crying again somewhere else. I've seen the footage. You can't tell me. Did you see the footage of what happened at Sandy Hook, I think it was, where the footage of minutes before he goes live, he didn't know he was being caught on camera? Do you remember that scene? Here it is, if you didn't see that scene.
And they're getting ready to come to the microphone, so we'll listen up.
Okay. So my name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings here in Connecticut.
I moved from Portland, and Soros was putting actors in the riots in 2019,
Yes,
2020, all of that. They were paying him
Yep.
on the cash, on the streets. So he's been hiring all kinds of different kinds of actors.
And people are being bussed in from 50 states over just to get to a crisis scenario. Okay, light this on fire. He even had some of his cohorts leave pallets of bricks in certain areas for people to get paid to throw the bricks and destroy businesses and destroy homes and cause havoc. You talked briefly when I asked you, where are these elitists, these globalists, these satanic ritual people carrying out this murder? Where are they getting their hands on these kids? Besides your case, where your parents were both part of the Illuminati and you were born into it, you were saying kidnapped children and primarily preschools. Can you go into detail about how they grab these kids and who grabs them?
Well, in the 90s, there was a man by the name of Dr. James Friesen, and I just really respect his work. This was just beginning to come out, and he went out on a limb and started writing books and providing resources for people. One of the things he said in his research was that there were over 100 California preschools implicated in satanic ritual abuse of children.
What?
So one of them was really famous, which was the McMartin Preschool. But at the Presidio, this is just so shocking to me, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino also had a daycare, a preschool. And all of those children had signs of satanic ritual abuse. So they were abusing children in the preschools. So let's go a little bit further. When I was living in Portland, I ministered to people. I remember a school teacher from Salem and a young man that was raised in Salem public schools telling me about being taken out of class and ritualized in the school.
Just now, like recently, this is going on.
He was 18 at the time that I met with him. That was about 3 years ago. So this went on for him in junior high, elementary school, and high school. I've worked with a number of SRA survivors in the Mormon church. At least 3 of them that I've worked with came out of Mormonism, and there were rituals that were performed at Sunday school at church.
I am absolutely mind blown. I have more questions. We're going to get to them right after word from our sponsor. Anxiety is at an all-time high, causing restlessness and paralyzing panic attacks. There is hope, a revolutionary product that brings healing and relieves symptoms of anxiety by harnessing the body's own electrical fields in conjunction with a pre-programmed patch. The Restore Patch is an all-natural, drug-free, wearable patch, and it's risk-free with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Check out RestorePatch.com and get 10% off using promo code TINA at checkout. Stop feeling overwhelmed, fearful, and anxious with Restore Patch. I'm absolutely speechless. I have more questions for you, like normal. Can you give us an example or two of what happens when you say that these kids were subjected to satanic ritual abuse? What would they do in a session or whatever happened?
So when they ritualize children, so there are varying degrees of what they do. It depends on what time of year. They do use the occult calendar. But let me give you an example. Back in 2012, in the Olympic Games, the start of the Olympic Games was one great big gigantic satanic ritual. The closing ceremonies were one great big satanic ritual. So let's talk about, so that's the big public, the whole public, 4 million people, 40 million people watching the Olympic Games are being subjected to a ritual. They don't even realize this is what they're participating in because it's the spirit behind it. Okay, but let's talk about what happens in a school. Let's say they pull a child out. Typically, there's sexual abuse, there's verbal abuse. The child is traumatized. The greater the trauma, the greater the amnesic barrier. So they will induce trauma to ensure that the child won't speak, won't remember, won't tell. They will also use those words as a hypnotic command on the child. Typically, there will be candles, there will be incantations, chanting, sodomy. Sometimes there's bestiality. All of these things happen. I have 2, I'm only working with a handful of clients right now. 2 of them had parents that were pastors or clergy in the church that horrifically, satanically, ritually abused their children. So
it's like the people you want to trust the most are the most demonic. So it is making me, I think I'm protecting my kids right now. I homeschool my kids. We love our church. We're very involved with sports and all that kind of stuff outside of the home. It's making me seriously want to rein it in even more and keep my eyes open to see what I'm seeing. Because if you're telling me what I'm think you're telling me, parents watching this right now, grandparents, we have to realize it's much more evil than we think. It's much more prevalent. It could easily be in your school. Satanic clubs, LGBT agenda, critical race theory, kindergartners that are now told to make these posters and go out and riot, and women's rights and everything as a kindergartner. We have what I wrote down here. If they're already pulling kids out for having abortions without the parents' consent, that's happening across the board, 50 states. And if people in schools are pulling children out to have gender reassignment surgery right now in America during school hours without the parents' knowledge, how do we know they're not pulling out our kids during school hours to do exactly what you just said, satanic ritual abuse, to raise an army that then fights against the parents? I've talked all about the indoctrination camps, the FEMA camps, the New World Order that's already on American soil, the cashless society, the brainwashing. They need to train our younger kids to their nasty demonic plot in order to take over the country for themselves. They think they're God. Kay.
Anytime you are trusting another adult with your children, really, really check your gut. Ask the Holy Spirit, are these people safe? And really, if people will do their own work of dealing with their own denial, they will be able to see when their children are unsafe. There's a denial that's pervasive in the culture. Oh, my kids are fine. Oh, their dad is fine. Yeah, he looks at porn, but I just leave him with the kids on Sunday. I mean, wake up, people. We've got to get past our own denial, take a look at the truth, take a look at what's happening in our society if we're going to make a difference. We have got to save this generation of children.
We have got to save. You have such a powerful testimony. First, a word from our sponsor, and then back to you with some hope.
Optimize your health. Protect against chronic disease. The most powerful antioxidant on the market. 172 times stronger than vitamin C. A breakthrough formula called C60 Complete, containing the purest combination of the world's healthiest ingredients. 28,000 positive effects published in research, backed by top scientists and leading researchers. A patented NASA-grade formula that comes in easy-to-swallow gel capsules. Get $5 off your order by going to counterculturemom.com and using promo code TINA.
Hope, healing, restoration, we need it. How can we first and foremost get it if we have been traumatized in some way?
I would say that the most important factor for people that heal is their relationship with the living God. Now, one of the things that's so horrific is many perpetrators, especially Freemasons and those that perpetrate against children in churches, dress up like a fake Jesus and abuse the children.
Oh my God.
So one of the things that we have to do is teach them that the living God, Yeshua HaMashiach, is safe. He will help them. And the closer the relationship to Christ, the faster people heal. Because if they can trust him, then and make him the Lord over their system, over all their parts, over everything that's happened to them, then he can minister healing. And one of the things I want to encourage people with is you don't have to walk through every single memory. Jesus will help you to know what needs to be walked through and what needs to simply be given to him. So we have some advanced ways today to accelerate the healing process. And so I want to encourage you, if God could heal me, I had thousands and thousands of broken pieces of my heart. I spent 20 years in the occult. I didn't even know it. I didn't even know till I was 26 that I was an SRA survivor. So if God can heal me, he can heal you. The challenge today is raising up enough ministers, people that understand ritual abuse, that understand the broken heart, and can bring healing and wholeness. And so that the most important thing people can do is improve their relationship with the living God today. And he's going to lead and guide them. Psalm 23. He's going to lead and guide us all the way.
People tuning into the show today, you have to watch all 4 episodes of this unbelievably jaw-dropping series on MKUltra Mind Control. Please go to counterculturemom.com, watch all 4 parts of this series, and share them with everyone you know. People have to be alerted to the fact that this is what's going on. You helped me connect so many dots. I'm blown away by what you just shared with me. I'm going to have you on again if you're open to that. We've got a couple more segments. This is exactly what's going on. Things are starting to make a lot more sense to me. Unbelievable. On the why. So everybody, share Kay's story. You have to go to our website. Kay, your website again is rgmconnect.com. What can we find on your beautiful website that's jam-packed with killer content?
Oh, well, we have webinars coming up. We have satanic ritual abuse resources. If you go on the resources tab, there's some prayers there. There are videos on the audio tab. We also have some resources for those that speak Spanish. There's a Spanish speaking tab. There's links to all of my books you'll find there, and information about training. So I hope you'll check it out. We just want to be a blessing to the kingdom of God. And I just want to say, God loves you no matter what you've done, what you've been through. He loves you. He's here for you. And we just want to bless you.
Everybody tuning in, share this. Once again, go to the website, counterculturemom.com. You'll find all these episodes this week. Get it out there. Get this truth out there. Also, head over to rgmconnect.com. That's Kay's website, where at Revelation Gateway Ministries, they have all kinds of audio, video resources for those recovering from satanic ritual abuse. And according to UK, that's pretty much a majority of Americans.
Thank you, Tina. It's a joy to be with you. I praise God for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Kay. We're going to be in touch like in 5 minutes because I got about 42 more questions. Hang tight.
Okay.